Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA Charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA Charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system, and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to New Frontiers Learning Center. We're excited that you're able to join us this evening for the Let's Talk CFA Level 2 webinar. We're excited that you have created the time to be with us tonight. Thank you very much, and we look forward to a very rewarding evening. This evening, we have two great speakers. Mr. Olani Ogunbayo, who is a co-founder at New Frontiers Learning Center and a member of faculty and a veteran, as it were, in the CFA space. He's been a charter holder for a very long time now. And we have Anna Agbai, who recently passed our Level 2 exams, and we're excited to have her with us tonight. It's such a privilege that you have agreed to do this for us, and we are happy that you agreed to do this tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. You're all important. We are excited to have you here. This evening, the agenda is very simple. It's quite straight to the point. It's Level 2 exams. We'd like to talk about why, or rather how, in terms of the practical tips and strategies to succeeding in the CFA Level 2 exams. Like I was sharing with the speakers before today, we realized that when webinars like this hold, most times the focus have always been to talk about the CFA exams. That's good, but better still is to address each level. And that's what we're doing at New Frontiers Learning Center as we try to solve this problem and crack this code, saying how we can make it easier. And like we always say, the only thing we won't be able to do for you is write the exams for you, at New Frontiers Learning Center. So this evening, the agenda is straightforward. We'll begin with welcome and introductions. We dive straight into the interview. There will be a brief presentation about the CFA exams and you in 2022 for Level 2. Then we'll take questions from the audience and we'll conclude. We hope that this webinar will run for about 90 minutes. And we are looking forward to a very, very exciting time. So once again, you are very much welcome. Let me read the profiles of our speakers. So Mr. Olani Ogunbayo is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Quant Investment Managers Limited. He has over 15 years professional experience covering financial advisory, investment research and strategy, financial modeling, portfolio management, and securities trading, having worked with top Nigerian banks and investment firms. Mr. Olani currently serves as an independent member of the investment committees for a number of investment funds in Nigeria. Prior to his current endeavors, Olani worked as the CEO and Managing Director of Affinity Capital Management Limited, a boutique proprietary trading firm with primary focus on fixed income securities and currency hedge products. Before this, Olani worked as the pioneer head of fixed income trading desk at Cardinal Stone Partners, where he was primarily responsible for setting up and managing the firm's fixed income trading business. He also worked as a bond strategist and trader in the Treasury Department of the bank PHB PLC, and was a senior financial analyst / portfolio manager at PHB Asset Management Limited, where he initiated coverage reports on the top 15 banks in Nigeria, and later acted as portfolio manager fixed income securities. He then worked with strategy and financial modeling division of UBA, United Bank for Africa PLC, where he was primarily responsible for developing financial planning and pricing models for various subsidiaries of the bank. He began his professional career at Meristem Securities Limited, a member of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, where he assumed the role of an equity research / corporate finance analyst and played a vital role in packaging equity capital raising for FTN Cocoa PLC and Feedsin Healthcare PLC. Olani holds certifications in mathematics for financial engineers, statistics for financial engineers, and C++ programming for financial engineering from the University of California in the United States. He is also a first-class graduate of economics from Obafemi Awolowo University. He is an associate of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN. He is an associate of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA, UK. He is an associate of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, that's the CIS, an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He is a certified financial risk manager of the Global Association of Risk Professionals in the United States. And of course, he's a CFA charter holder. And we're excited to have Mr. Olani Ogunbayo with us tonight. Welcome, Mr. Olani.
Thank you for the generous introduction.
Someone once said after hearing his profile read like that, I'm waiting to hear myself speak. I'm sure, I hope it's not the same. All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Olani. And of course, Anna Agbai is a graduate of accounting from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. She's had a brief stint in human resources before she switched career to finance in 2020. And she currently works as a research analyst at an investment bank. So Anna, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again. So once again, everyone, you're welcome. I also like to confirm that you can hear me because we are diving straight into the questions. So I need to be sure that you can hear me. Please, can you confirm that you can hear and see me? That's our audience. You could just type in the chat box. Just confirm that you can hear and see me. So we don't assume. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Akinola. Thank you, Abdul. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll just move on. So tonight, as we dive straight into it, I know I've said a bit about you, but again, it's gonna be bad to hear from the horse's mouth. So can we meet you? So Mr. Olani, can we meet you? I know I've read generously from your profile, but I think it would be good to say something.
Well, I don't think there's anything major that is left out of the introduction. So maybe I'll just say stuff that are not mentioned, perhaps relevant for this evening. So for example, I'm a member of faculty of the school, and my specialization of the subjects that I often teach include economics, quantitative methods, then global investment performance standards, behavioral finance, capital market expectations, and some other aspect of our portfolio management. So other than that, I don't think there's anything that I don't already know based on what Ayo has read. to us here. But generally, I'm a core finance and investment person. And I believe that you need technical knowledge, to be a successful CFA chapter holder. The CFA program is a very technical program, and the job you do as an investment professional is very technical. So you can see investors or investment professionals or traders, they live a free lifestyle, relaxed life, but their job, is highly technical and involves a lot of emotional and psychological pressure. Because imagine you losing several millions of dollars for your clients based on your own judgments. You say this particular asset price will go up, so you decided to put your client's money in it. Then shortly after, the prices of the assets start to come down. So you feel bad and you have to explain to your client why you made that judgment call. So it's a kind of profession where your performance can easily be appraised. There is no sentiment there. The question is, I give you $1. After a certain period of time, how much do I have? So have you created enough value for the client or not? So it's as simple as that. Then that will tell whether you remain in that investment profession or not. But there are other aspects of finance that are not directly related to managing clients' money. But then the CFA program is primarily targeted at training people or building people to manage client funds. So for you to be an asset manager or fund manager, investment manager, that's the primary objective. And that's what my own field is. And that's why CFA and myself looks like a marriage made in heaven. So that's the introduction.
I like that. Thank you very much, Prof. I like the sound of that. All right, thank you so much. So Anna, I would yours will be with a different twist. So yes, can we meet you? But then there was something I found interesting in your profile, and that's your switch from human resources to finance. So why did you opt for a career in finance? So yes, let's meet you, but then just in between, just tell us why you opted for a career in finance.
Okay, so as you've said, my name is Hannah, and you've read my profile already. And so I think the only thing missing is that I actually also I'm also a student member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I finished the exam, but yet to get inducted. So I'm not a member, but I was done with the exam. I'm done with the exam. For moving from HR to finance. Okay, so at my previous workplace, we wanted to start a portfolio management business. And because I studied accounting, I was in HR then. And because I studied accounting, I was asked to assist my the head in the mutual fund process. And because of that, I had to start reading about economics. I had to start reading about things totally different from accounting, because accounting is totally different from finance. There's a lot you have to learn in finance.
Absolutely.
So I started reading about finance. I started reading about economics. I think economics, I was more interested in economics. I like the way everything just interrelates, what's happening in the economy. You have to tie it down to something. So on the back of that, I started getting little interest in finance, and then I went to one EduBridge program that trains people who are interested in finance. And from there, I applied for scholarship for CFA Level 1. I got it, and then I knew that I had to embark on the finance journey. And so that's how it started for me.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're excited to hear that. So somehow I'm happy because our scholarship helped. so thank you very much. That's good. That's good. So it's interesting how, yes, even though you had read accounting, you had a background in accounting, you're able to figure out quickly that, hey, the knowledge is not going to be sufficient for setting up the arm, was it fund management or asset management or something? You
Fund
called it?
management.
Fund
Fund
management
management.
arm of the
Yes, fund
business.
management.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So you came to that realization and felt and agreed, and then interest began to grow, and here you are today on your way to. I mean, CFA Level 3 candidate right now on your way to the charter. That's beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so tonight I will go straight into it, unlike when we did with the Level 1. I'm sure most people on this call, Level 2 candidates, they've passed Level 1. So we'll just dive into it straight away, because I know there are a lot of questions in the hands of people, people who have written it before, who didn't pass, people who are about to write, people who are just taking interest in finance, and they think, okay, let's hear this Level 2 story. I mean, at Level 2, I mean, even if you manage to pass Level 1, at Level 2, there's some level of clarity about, should I even be doing this in the first place, or shouldn't I, right? Because of the volume of work, that shows up. And then, so it becomes clear to you. So let's just go straight into it tonight. So let's try to make it get personal now. What was Level 2 like for you? I mean, what were your biggest memories? Prof, I know it's been a long time, but then
I still cannot forget Level 2.
Oh, interesting. So please tell us.
Because then and even up to now, I always tell people, and I think a lot of other charter holders agree with me, is the most technical part of the CFA program. Now, Level 1 looks at concept broadly, but Level 2 requires in-depth understanding of the concept of the topics.
Yeah.
So you can pass Level 1 by chance, for example, but you cannot pass Level 2 by chance. So you need to go deep and understand what is being taught. And someone like me, I've always been a very technical person. That means I have deep understanding of the things that I know, more than what is required for me to pass my exam, right from my university days. So Level 2 then happened to be the easiest for me because of my own nature. I have that in-depth understanding of concepts so that I will be able to explain it. So when I read, generally, it's as if I'm teaching myself, at the end of my reading, I must be able to explain what I've read in simpler terms. That's the way my own brain is wired, because I don't rely much on my memory. So I rely more on my understanding. So because I have in-depth understanding of concept, or I know how to drill further down. So I found Level 2, very, very comfortable. It was challenging, but when I say very comfortable, it played to my strength. And I had over 70% in all the subject areas in level 2. Even Level 1, I didn't attend that. I think derivative or alternative investment, I had less than 70%. Of course, Level 3, So, but Level 2, so, and that is where people get stuck, actually. People that do not have the deep understanding of the concepts. And partly also because of the structure of the exam. Because you've moved from individual OBJ questions to item sets. And the number of questions that have reduced. So some people might say there's an advantage from 120 questions to 160 questions. No. What it actually means is that they will not be able to examine all the aspects of a subject. They will just choose a particular aspect and set the case on that. If that aspect happens to be the area where you are not strong, and all the questions are related to that, so you don't have a backup plan. So if the case of that subject is from that area where you are not very strong or good at, that means you find it difficult. You might end up mixing all the questions on a particular subject. So it's easy to score. The change from 0 to 100% on the subject is easy. And part of the structure is you might need the answer to question 1 to answer question 2. So the questions are not independent anymore like in level 1. So what that means is you need to know exactly what you're doing, then you cannot afford to leave out any aspects. So for someone like me that likes that kind of challenge, you know, I'm not used to saying, okay, I just want to cover that I can't cover. I like even when the thing is new, I don't know, it excites me, you know, acquiring knowledge excites me, you know. So for me, you know, I really like the structure of level 2, but historically, we've always found out that that is where candidates struggle. Yeah. So you see that, okay, 100 students pass level 1, move to level 2. So then move from level 2 to level 3. Maybe out of the 100, maybe just 10 or 15, you know. And it's because the level of challenge in level 2 is significant. But that's the most challenging level, if you ask me. Wow. And that is why classes are very important, because what you need a deep understanding of the concepts, but they are tougher concepts to explore. Maybe Anna, you know, can share from our experience. But my own experience, it was very challenging, but because of my own technical understanding and my own nature, it played to my strength. So after the exam, I knew the exam was difficult, and I knew I was up to the task.
Thank you very much, Prof. That's very, very insightful. So there's something about level 2 where you can't just breeze through. There has to be some sitting down. There has to be some in-depth understanding. You either understand it or you don't. And understanding seems to be the key word. Understanding the concepts seems to be the key word from what Prof talked about. Thank you very much. So Anna, your biggest memory is level 2.
For me, level 2 was very, very, very challenging because it's just like moving from like primary 1 to primary 6. The difference was clear. Like I kept on tweeting that the difference is clear on Twitter because it was
totally the difference is clear.
It was totally different from what I knew in level 1. Level 1 was very easy. I won't say it was very easy, but compared to level 2, it was easy to me. But when I got to level 2, the readings, the questions, everything was just so much. And just like Prof said, understanding the questions. I made a mistake. I wasn't understanding when I read. I just wanted to complete and just move on. And it came back when it was close to the exam. I had issues with that, and I had to start reading all over again. So it was, for me, it took a lot for me. I even say I have PTSD from level 2 alone. It was different from the exams I've written. Like it was my toughest exam actually. Level 2 is actually my toughest exam. Since I've been on it.
Thank you very much, Anna. And again, that's I mean, like we say, it's difficult, but it's not insurmountable. And that's what you have proven from your experience. Again, understanding the questions, understanding the concepts, very, very, very important. So those are your biggest memories, you know, how challenging the exams were, how you needed to truly understand, because the exam has a way of testing that you actually understand, you know, the concept that you are trying to answer. Okay, so I think this is the point where I would like to speak to our audience that if you have any questions, you can begin to type them in the chat. But then I can, like I usually say, sometimes it's better to conclude the interviews and right? Or perhaps even the presentation just before we open the floor to the questions, because by then, what you find out is many of the questions you are trying to ask might have been answered. But again, it's no problem just to engage. You could drop your questions in the chat box as we continue. And one more thing, if there's somebody you know that should be on this call and is not here, trust me, I think you should. Again, it's value created, it's value add for whoever joins tonight. So please, because we are diving into the real questions tonight. I think the biggest questions I'm going to ask tonight is what I'm about to ask you. And again, I'll start with Prof, but then Anna, you would also give your own perspective. Now, from the perspective of a teacher, all right, and a charter holder, this is to Prof now. What would you share as the optimal strategy? Now, this is it. So you take your time on this question. This question is the reason why we came tonight. And I'm happy that we have gotten into it 25 minutes into the program, having done every other thing, so that we can spend enough time. This is where you can spend a lot of time on this. So from your perspective as a teacher, prof, and as a charter holder, what will you share has been the optimal strategy or the tips for passing the level 2 exams?
Well, thanks for that question. Now, the first thing you need to understand is how the level 2 format is different from level 1. You know, I alluded to it earlier. You know, in level 1, the idea is to introduce it to several concepts so that may be relevant to your understanding of core finance or understanding of investment management at later stages. So you have the subject, broad subjects, then broad concepts. Then you have 120 questions in the morning, 120 questions in the afternoon. So the objective of level 1 is to cover as many concepts as possible. So in level 1, for example, it's possible that you don't understand some concept or you hate some subjects. Then at the end, you still found the exam comfortable, you still passed, comfortably. Because, we always say that no matter what the grading scale or curve is, once you score at least 70% of the questions, you got 70% right. So you have total of 240 questions, morning, afternoon, combined. So if you get 70% right, there's no way you will not pass. And the distribution of the questions you get right is irrelevant. It doesn't matter that you didn't get anything in QM, you got in other subject, then some other subject didn't do well. As long as the total number of questions answered correctly, get you above the minimum passing score, then you are fine. And individually, the questions in level 1, they are not connected, they are not related at all. So even if let's say question 1 and question 2, if both of them are even related to quantitative methods, question number 1 has nothing to do with question number 2. So you can see a question, for example, I say you don't like it or you don't have an understanding of what they are talking about. Then you skip it, then you move on to the next question, then you answer. Then you are still fine at the end of the day. But things change drastically in level 2. 1, the total number of questions is halved. So instead of 120 in the morning, 120 in the afternoon, you are now doing 60 in the morning, 60 in the afternoon. And like I said earlier, a candidate may interpret that wrongly to make it look at, that means my task is easier. Because now the same amount of time, 3 hours, instead of using it to address 120 questions, I'm going to spend it addressing 60 questions. So just on the basis of that, you think that things are going to be easier. But from my own understanding, it's actually a disadvantage. Because for every question you miss, every question carries higher weight. Level 1 out of 120, if you calculate the percentage, maybe someone can look at that for us, 1 divided by 120. So that percentage is less than 1%, right? That means for every question you miss is less than 1%. But in level 2, now that you have 60 questions in the morning, for example, every question you miss is more than 1% of your score. That means you've lost over 1%. And what that means is that maybe by the time if you miss like say 10 questions out of the 60 questions, or let's say you miss 18, you're already at 70%. Right? Meanwhile, if you miss 18 questions in level 1, you are still way above 70%. If I say 80-something%. So the weight of every question is now bigger in level 2. And what that means is that you cannot afford to miss a question that you should have gotten right. And the other thing that you also have to understand is that the structure of the question, they call it item sets. For example, now on quantitative method, for example, you can say maybe let's say case studies. Maybe that's more relatable. So the questions are case studies. Like on quantitative method, for example, you might have a single case study. And on this single case study, all the questions related to QM will be asked. So let's say they're going to ask just 5 questions related to QM on a single case study. Now, there are 5 readings in quantitative methods now in level 2. 5 readings. And there's going to be only 1 case study. So if the case study is from a particular reading, and that reading happens to be the reading where you don't think you like, as students, I don't like that reading, I like this reading, I don't like that. The luxury of you being selective at the reading you like, that luxury, is going to be very expensive. It's going to be far more expensive at this level. Because I heard back then in level 1, I don't like probability in QM. And you go to the exam without your hatred for probability, and you still get over 70% in QM, But level 2, you cannot afford to be that selective. Because 1, you never know the reading where that particular case study is going to come from. But if that single case study happens to come from the area that you don't like, that means you can get 0% in QM. So it's not like question number 1 will be from this reading, question number 2 from another reading. It's a particular case study. Though some case studies are related, So like the ones that have to do with regression in level 2, for example. So we have like 3 readings bordering on regression. So a case study can be brought to cut across those 3 readings. But the point is that the subject of the matter is regression. So if your understanding of regression happens to be weak, so you can easily get 0 in QM. The same applies to other subjects, economics, equity, financial statement analysis, So the case study that is brought is maybe from a single reading. And if you are not good at that reading, you can easily get 0 there. And that's why it's very easy for people to fail level 2. And the other part is that now that we know that it's case study and the questions are from the case, and the questions may be related. Like for example, you might need answer to the first question to answer the second question correctly. So there is a chain of questions. So if you miss the first question wrongly, if you miss the first question or you got it wrongly, then the following question, you will definitely get it wrong. So what all of this means is that your attention to details needs to be tight. And your understanding of the concept of the readings needs to be deep. It has to be. Because you cannot afford to say that I only understand this part, I don't understand the other part. But the questions are going to be related in the exam. And every case is important. Every case, some subjects, you have 2 cases, or more. Like I think in level 2, the weightier subjects are equity and financial statement analysis, if that's still the case. So I think those are the subjects that carry the highest weight. And the implication of that is that you have more questions from those subjects in the exam. That means you might have, instead of 1 case study, you might have 2 or more case studies. And at the end, it still comes back to the same thing. There is no point understanding 1 question in a case, then you don't understand the other question in the case. You don't have a backup plan. So whatever case study you are given, it is very important that you understand that case thoroughly. And if you have a thorough understanding of that case study, then you can easily get 100% in that subject. And that's why the difference between someone that gets 0% in a subject and 100% in a subject, the difference is not much. It's just that the basic understanding is missing. So you hardly see people in the middle, 50%, 60%, So if they were to show you your raw score, you see people either scoring very close to 0% or people scoring very close to 100%, highlighting the fact that you either understand the case or you don't understand the case. There's nothing like the midpoint. So very few people fall in that, or maybe you guess that you were able to get a number of questions that are right. So let's get it right. We need a stronger and deeper understanding of the subject matters for level 2. For you, to be comfortable, about your experience in the exam. So the question now is that how do we get to that point where you'll be comfortable for the exam? In fact, don't forget this thing that I've said. Your technical understanding must be the strongest at this level. Not even in level 3, this level 2, this is where you need the most technical understanding. Level 3 is more of application. You coming to show us what you've learned, Let's try and put it in practice. Let's relate it to what's happening out there. So your technical understanding is going to be explored in level 2. So that means you have to get your strategy for passing right. So what do I advise? First, everything that you need to get that technical understanding. And more than ever, for example, attending classes will be most helpful for you in level 2 because of the depth of understanding that is required. So you need people to explain stuff to you. Then when you have questions, you say, okay, Nia said that we need technical understanding and all of that. So that if in the class you are reading on your own, you can't get something right, you ask your tutor or faculty member, until you get a very good understanding of the concept. You shouldn't let it go, because that may be the decider of the outcome in the exam. You can't afford to let anything go. And in level 2, there is no specialization, like I told you. All the subjects are important, though some, you can say they are more important than the others because they will ask you more questions from those subjects. But you still need to understand everything. That you cannot be selective about reading. So you need something that will help you understand virtually everything in the curriculum as far as level 2 is concerned. And you need something that will help you achieve that within a very short period of time. Let's say the shortest route to that. And that's why, from my own experience, I didn't attend class when I was writing CFA because there was no school for CFA exam back then. But I can share with you my experience when I did ICANN, or let's say 8 years, when I finished secondary school, when I started 8 years before I gained admission to university. I did ATS 1 on my own. I read on my own. Then ATS 2, I attended classes. Back then, Maryland wise, I don't know if they're still there. Everything was so easy for me in ATS 2. I didn't have to go through the struggle I went through trying to understand stuff. And to highlight how important the classes were, that particular exam, ATS 2, I won the first prize, ICANN prize for ATS 2 in that diet. And after that ATS 2, I gained admission to university. So I didn't have opportunity of going for classes. So I went back to my self-study, ATS 3. I won prizes to ATS 3, but I didn't win first prize. My intermediate, I won prize, but I didn't win first prize. But the point is, I was most effective, when I attended that ATS 2 class, because everything, as they were explaining, just, oh, this is what you guys meant and all of that. And level 2 of the same problem you are going to have, level 2 CFA program, because of the depth of the technical understanding that is required. So if you have someone explaining to you, what this is all about, you can't imagine how much of time that you would have saved. particularly, for people coming from other fields, it's going to be very tough. I can just imagine you just reading the books, because the books are more voluminous in level 2. Just reading the books, hoping that you go to the exam, that you can use Nigerian style. I'll read the books, then memorize everything, go into the exam. Level 2, that is where you have the most challenge with that approach. So if you have the opportunity, you should consider attending classes as part of the strategy. And the other thing is that people with hands-on experience relating to the subject in level 2, right? They benefit in level 2 in particular. So for example, now imagine someone that is an equity research analyst. That's his day-to-day job. That person will have some sort of advantage when it comes to valuation, which is the major area covered in equities. So that hands-on experience will help in the technical understanding of the concept. The same thing goes for someone that is an accountant, like a chartered accountant, someone who understands accounting thoroughly, So the financial statement analysis, or have they changed the title of that? Is it financial reporting?
Financial statement analysis, FSA.
Is it financial statement, FSA? So you might have some technical advantage in that subject, because level 2 requires technical understanding. So being a chartered accountant can be very helpful, is getting that deep understanding I described. But it's not a guarantee that you are going to pass that FSA. You still have to demonstrate that you understand what they are describing in the curriculum. But it's one thing to know something, the other thing is understand it properly, to know the logic, because CFA level 2, they use a lot of logic, like comparing stuff. If something happens, will it be higher or less, or it will remain the same? So logical reasoning is very, very important. But again, if you have a prior knowledge, maybe from your university, other professional exam, it will be most helpful in level 2, because it will help, in attaining that technical understanding. The same thing, someone who has first or second degree in economics, it should help you ideally if you really understand economics from a first degree or second degree. It should help you if you should have let me say, your starting point, should be higher than the starting point of others. So it should help you in that technical, but it's not a guarantee that you will pass. I'm not saying just having the certificate. I'm assuming that you having the degree means that you have a thorough understanding when you attain the degree and you've not forgotten. But from experience, I know even in class, we have people who have BSc, MSc economics. And when they are in class, the concept they are learning, they say, oh, and they made this thing look as if it was so difficult back then in university, we just did this so that we pass. So they are still very attentive receiving classes, economics class. Yeah. The same thing, people that are chartered accountants, they'll still come to FSA class, financial statement analysis, and they'll pay serious attention. But that's not to mean that if you have a very good understanding from your previous exam or previous degree, it should help you in moving faster compared to your colleagues without prior knowledge, because level 3 understanding is very, very key, it's more important. So attending classes can be very helpful. Then again, what I always said for myself when I'm reading, even if you are reading on your own, whatever I read that I cannot explain to someone else, right? It means I have not understood it. So when I read, even when my intention is not to teach, I'm reading for an exam. I'm reading as if I'm going to teach. But I explain to myself why. But it's a way for me to check that I really know what they are talking about. Because you will need more of such checks. I don't know how you check to see that you've thoroughly understood what you've read. Different people have different strategies. But I try to teach myself, explaining to myself somehow, subconsciously. I'm used to that. Okay, can I explain this to others? Some people, after reading and all of that, they will be talking to themselves, face a board or the wall and start explaining. I have friends that used to do that back then, start explaining the stuff to themselves. They are trying to check that, they've truly understood what they've read. Because I know there are people with gifted memory, I'm not one of such people. So some people can say they put everything stays, even if they don't understand. But you're going to find it very challenging in level 2. You're going to find it very challenging. Your memory alone is not going to help the student. So you need that to run that. For this level is very, 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 very important. Now, having said that, if you have your own method of double checking that you've understood the concept, right? So the other aspect of your strategy that you need to worry about is time management in your preparation. Your strategy for preparation. Like I say, for example, let me give you an example. Some people will say, okay, their strategy is to read the curriculum and they focus on the curriculum, and once they've read the curriculum, they are fine, Some people will say, oh, curriculum is too big and I don't even have time to do that. Then they say, okay, I'll just look for notes. There are different notes provided by other prep houses that are outside of Nigeria. Things like Schweizer and stuff, or Wiley, material, stuff like that. So people say, okay, they are concise, the same number of books, but summarized, right? Now, what I can tell you is that one, reading those summarized notes will only work if you've been taught those concepts before. For someone without prior understanding, right? Say someone without background in finance or experience, so you come in. If you get those summarized notes, it will be tough for you to have a thorough understanding that is required to pass level 2. In fact, you can get away with it in level 1, because concepts, just general broad concept. And those concepts, they are not going deep. For level 2, it's going to be tougher for you to get away with that. Then, but with curriculum, you have adequate information that can help you depending on how good you are, your IQ, to gain the understanding. But the question is, time management. Do you have the time to read every page in the curriculum for every subject? That's the question you have to address. So there are different combinations. So particularly, like someone that comes for classes, that person has an advantage because the concept have been explained and all of that. So that person can pick a compressed note, either the compressed note of external tutors or compressed note of New Frontiers Learning Center tutors, our own tutors. You take the compressed notes for your revision. So when you read it, the moment you are reading the compressed, you know what it is because you were in class when those things were explained. So the notes were just a reminder. So you read the notes, then everything kicks back in. So you've had that prior understanding from attending the class. So reading compressed notes, either externally or the one we provide, can suffice, right? Now, I always tell people that, particularly if you've attended classes, what you need your curriculum for, because of time management. Now, you need your curriculum for revalidation 1. Let's say I don't expect every student in class to have the same level of understanding. So there will still be candidates that are finding it difficult to understand 1 or 2 concepts. But because you can't hold the whole class back, right? So you can go to your curriculum for consultation. Since there is more information in the curriculum compared to those compressed notes, right? Maybe perhaps you couldn't reach me to ask him questions outside the class, to explain something to you again. So you consult the curriculum, and read the text to see whether it will help you gain the understanding that you need. That is one use you will use the curriculum for if you are coming for class. And the other use, which is more important, no matter the source of your understanding, whether you come for classes or you read some books and all of that, you know, wherever you gain the understanding that is required for, you must ensure that you are able to answer the questions at the end of each reading in the curriculum. That is your litmus test of your level of understanding. I'm not saying you should memorize the questions, those are the questions they will ask in the exam. What I'm saying is that if you claim that either by going for classes, then reading and all of that, you think that you've attained the understanding that is required for you to pass level 2, or you've attained the understanding required for a particular subject matter. So go to the questions at the end of the reading in the curriculum. Exam formats are going to be like that, and exam questions won't be more difficult than that, typically. So see on your own whether you can answer those questions comfortably without missing anyone. So that is how you revalidate your understanding. So you can check how well you are doing by, you know, if after you come for classes, then you go and open the question at the end of the curriculum and you find it very easy to answer. That's a testament that you got a very good understanding from your class or any other thing that you've engaged in to attain that understanding. So time management for your preparation is very key. And so you either say, okay, you want to go with curriculum because you don't have a tutor, you don't have any other source of, you know, or if you have a tutor or you come for classes, you can avoid having to read the whole of the curriculum. So you can combine that with compressed notes. Then making sure you can solve the questions at the end of each reading in the curriculum comfortably. So that's how to validate your understanding. Now, an extension of the time management is also what time of the day do you read? You know, people always ask, okay, I'm coming for classes, then I'm going for work, you know, I go to work, I leave home very early in the morning, then come back late in the evening. How am I going to combine my normal day-to-day schedule with classwork, then reading and all of that? So all of that, how you manage that is part of the strategy for passing. So your strategy for passing is not what you do in the exam, by the way. It's mostly about what you do during the preparation process. And you have to play to your strength. You have to work with your own individual schedules. There is no general rule for everybody, but I'm just going to give you some tips here. For example, now our classes, you know, since we moved online, you know, our classes are recorded. So that means you have the audio of the classes, you know. So when you are going to work, usually depending on where most people in Lagos, you'll be in traffic. So you have to leave up very early. So even if you were the one driving, you could be listening to the audio. You could be listening to the audio of the classes, whatever you want to listen to, you know, so that, you know, it becomes part, so you just listen to all those explanations again. It's just like, you know, it's like listening to music, even though it's not your intention. Let's say you don't like hip-hop songs, right? The fact that when you're listening to news on the radio, sometimes they put in those songs, you know, then you wait for the song to go for the news to continue. You know, subconsciously, you end up knowing that song. The next time they're singing that song, you know the lyrics, even though it was not your intention, you know, to learn the lyrics of the song. So if you play the audio, you know, while in traffic, whether going to work or coming back, you know, it helps you remember the concept. It helps you reinforce what you know. So that can help with time. That can help with time management. And we've had, so like if you are not the driver, say you are in public transport or you have a driver, you even have more flexibility to take advantage of that time in traffic for studying. So that means you don't have to do, it's not limited to the audio. But if you are in a car with other people or a public, so you either have a headset or earphone, you know, so that you are not disturbing other people if you are listening to the audio. Or you can have it on your phone or iPad or, you know, tablet, you know, you open the notes, you know, you try to read. You are in traffic, or what are you going to do? You are in traffic, you're not going anywhere. And you're not the one driving. So there's nothing you can do that will change the traffic situation. So what you can do, however, is to make a good use of the time during which you are in traffic. So that's how some people, manage their time in preparing for the exam. Then for those that, some people try to go to offices earlier than normal so that they avoid traffic completely. Then when they get to their offices before resumption time, maybe you get to the office 7 o'clock, you are supposed to resume 8 o'clock, then they start studying. So they study from that 7 to 8 a.m. The same thing in the evening. If going home when you close work means that you'll be in traffic, right? You can decide to stay back and study and let the traffic go, then before you embark on your journey. In fact, before COVID, candidates used to come to school after work to come and study. They come to study after work, then from there, they go home. And I think that there is a certain time where, during the preparation process, where we even make provision for them to stay overnight, for those that want to study overnight, all that kind of arrangement were in place before COVID and all of that. So the point is, you need to look at your daily schedules and look at where the opportunities are. Then the time, like dead time, that you can unlock for the purpose of preparing for the CFA. But that is an important part of strategy that you have to adopt for passing. So time management is very, very important. Time management during the preparation process. Then we talk about, say, strategy now. So when you say other strategy relating to the content of the CFA program, like for example, it's good for you to know the weight of each subject. Is very important, because you can create a strategy on that basis. Don't forget, always aim to get at least 70% of the questions right. Because we believe that if you get at least 70% of the questions right, whatever the minimum passing score is, you will be fine, right? Now, how do you get 70%? No, when you get 70% question right, so no, I didn't say your 70% must come from this subject or that subject, It doesn't matter the distribution of the 70, where the questions that I got correctly, where they come from, the subject they come from is irrelevant for the purpose of passing, right? But what you need to know is that some subjects will have more questions than the other, and that's where the weight of subjects come from. For level 2, equity valuation and financial statement analysis are typically the 2 heaviest subjects. That means they will have more questions than the other subjects. So if other subjects have 1 case study, they may have 2 or more case studies each. So since our objective is to get 70% of the question, right. So it's logical to expect your understanding of equity and financial statement analysis to be top-notch as part of your strategy, for passing. Because if the subject where most of the questions are going to come from, struggling there, then even if I do very well in other subjects, because the ones that have the highest number of questions, I'm struggling there, it might affect my overall performance. So you may need to use the weight as a guide to design the time, your own time allotment to different subjects during your preparation. So those weighty subjects, you must understand them. It's very, very important that you have a strong and deep understanding of the subjects, so that your journey to 70% becomes easier. But then I will not advise that you leave out other subjects. Like my own personal strategy back then, me personally back then, I didn't pay attention to the weightings. I just believe that I must understand all the readings. That was my objective, because I was not just looking at passing the exam. I was looking at gaining the knowledge that is in the CFA curriculum and looking at how I'm going to use it to further my career, add value to my employer back then, and add value to clients. So for me, it was not just a game of passing the exam. And that's what I think should be the appropriate approach for everybody. You need to think bigger than the exam, so that the exam, passing the exam, becomes the smaller aspect of your goal. And when a goal becomes small in the grand scheme of things, it becomes easier to attain it. So if you are focused just passing the exam, then you might get your strategy wrong. But if you start ab initio that, okay, you want to acquire the body of knowledge in this curriculum, so that you can be a thoroughbred investment professional or finance professional. So that is you putting yourself on a higher standard. And on higher standard. And what that means is that you need to take time to understand those concepts. And if that's your objective, you need to know, like I told you, in fact, classes will be very, very, very helpful. Because in classes, beyond just addressing what is in the curriculum, you're also learning from the on-the-job experience of the faculty members. They use illustrations. People suppose you just bring the illustration of something that's happened, a transaction that you worked on, or you did that, what happened, how it is done, vis-a-vis what is in the CFA curriculum. So your goal is more than the exam. And that means that you need more work when you are studying. More on that, because how are you going to use, if you don't understand even if you pass an exam, but you don't understand really the concepts that were tested in that exam. So how are you going to use it, to add value to your employer or your client? But it will just be your CV that you've passed the exam. I know a lot of Nigerians, have that kind of mentality. Let's just pass. The rest we'll do it later, But I would advise that you have a bigger goal than just passing, so that you can demand higher standard of yourself when you are studying. So you want to know things. And why, even though I said FSA, equity valuation, they are the weights, you still also have to know that those subjects in level 3, for example, it becomes more difficult to separate those subjects into buckets like QM, economics, quantitative method, financial statement. Everything then becomes integrated into portfolio management process. So if there is any components where you are lacking, then it's going to be very difficult, later in level 3. Because level 3 is now bringing everything together. So things are not, in level 3, things are not looked at subject by subject. So everything comes together. So you're asking a question that looks like portfolio management question, but you're using economics or you're using QM, So everything then becomes integrated. So what that then means that from your level 2, every subject is important. So you just use the weight to plan your time for studying. Because don't forget, your objective is to get as many questions as possible correct in the exam. And let me tell you, when that exam then comes, in the exam, some questions will be more difficult than the others. But then every question carries equal mark. You must never lose sight of that. If the time you use to answer a difficult question, that same time you can use it to answer 5 easy questions, you are better off. Because you have 5 points versus 1 point. So in the exam, I always advise that even though it's items, if there is a question in the case study that you don't understand what they are talking about, you don't know it, don't stress yourself too much. Just asterisk the question and move on. Your objective is to answer as many questions as possible correctly within the time allotted. Just get 70%, it doesn't matter from which subject. So getting the most difficult question right is not going to give you extra points. So you are not clear what they are talking about or what you need to do. Skip, move on. Because there might be others that are easier so that you can attempt those ones. And from experience, the more questions that you feel that you get right, the higher your confidence. Then the level of your fear drops. Then when you go back to those questions that you think are difficult, because you've answered some questions correctly, so you are already feeling comfortable, the level of your fear, as we see that, you've just realized that, oh, so this is what they are asking, So sometimes you don't know whether it's your lack of understanding or your memory or your fear or psychology that is playing against you in the exam. And that's why you need to attempt questions that are easier to you. So if anyone is proving difficult, just austerity it, move on to answer as many questions as possible in other areas. And I've had strategies like some people, another strategy you can adopt is, even though we said that, okay, you should understand all the subjects, have a thorough understanding. Again, it is normal for every candidate to have favorite subjects. Even if you think that, okay, you've had a very good understanding of all the subjects, so candidate will say, I feel stronger in equity. Some candidate will say, FSA, anything there is nothing they can ask that will not get right. Then candidate will say, economics, that is my home advantage, right? Now, if you feel strongly about a subject like that, where you are so confident that there's no person that can answer, I cannot answer correctly, sometimes it's better to go and start from that subject in the exam than go and start from a case study on that subject. The idea is to boost your confidence. The idea is to boost your confidence so that area where you are strong, so once you answer those questions correctly, your confidence gets boosted, so it can help you down the lane on another area. But then it carries a higher risk too. If that area where you feel most confident, you get there, then the questions are looking like Greek. It might have the opposite effect. Because when you believe you are strong and you are struggling, it might have a very highly devastating effect on you in the exam psychologically. So it's a risk. So when you say one area is your area of strength, it has to be really, really, really that if they wake you up in the middle of the night, no matter how they twist the question, you can answer it correctly. But if you ask me, what did I do in the exam? Did I cherry pick subject by subject? When I did level 2, for all levels, I just started from the beginning and all the way to the end. So any questions I come across, I don't like it, or I'm not good at it, or I don't know what they're talking about, I will asterisk it, then I'll move on. Then when I'm done, and there's still time, I will come back and be looking for where I see where there's asterisk, then I'll look at them again. The only time that strategy of working from beginning to the end, when I realized that it didn't make sense, it was an arrogant strategy, was level 3. Because typically the easiest morning session, the easiest questions are always at the back. And like I said, it's about points, you can get buried in the first set of questions. So we discussed that when you get to level 3. Or level 2, so you can have that strategy of running from beginning all the way to the end. Or if you think that, especially if you enter the exam and you're afraid, you are not sure of your confidence level, you can look at go back to the areas where you are very good at and try and answer those questions. Hopefully that will boost your morale and your confidence. Then you'll be more comfortable in other areas. Then the other thing that you should also know as part of your strategy for passing the exam, being very good at using your calculator is a major component, of your strategy to passing. Level 1, you can use a normal calculator in level 1 and you will still be fine, But level 2, those subjects like derivative fixed income, require the special element of the functions of the calculator, So being able to work fast with your calculator. So the calculator you're going to use in the exam, you should be using it to prepare, for the exam so that you're very fast with that calculator. Even normal addition, subtraction on the calculator. Some people are faster on the calculator we don't all have equal speed, no? Some people just then they've added everything together. So you need to get used to that. Calculator is a tool, so you need to take advantage of that because speed matters. You have 3 hours, you have to answer a certain number of questions. So speed is very important because the faster you are, then the greater the opportunity of reviewing your questions to be sure that you didn't miss out any part. But overall, what I can tell you is this. If you pursue strong and deep understanding of the subject at this level, and can explain the concepts, you know, whatever the strategy you then adopt in the exam, you're most likely going to be fine. And that's why what I always tell candidates is that, you know, the best strategy is to prepare very well. See yourself as becoming an investment professional, you know, you need all the knowledge you can acquire. Don't specialize. You know, look at the subject that are your weaknesses, that are your areas of your weakness. So those subjects, try and pay more attention to them. Then you will need help. So talk to colleagues. That's one of the advantages of when you're in a class. So there is a network of other candidates. So some candidates are stronger in other subjects than others. So you guys can share ideas and all of that. So when you need help in quantitative methods, you can talk to a candidate in class that's his area of strength and vice versa. Then you guys grow together, you know, and the objective is that everybody passes. That's what we all wish for. So every resource you can gain, try and tap as much as possible. But again, let your objective to be that you want to become a well knowledgeable investment professional. So that should be your goal. So don't specialize, think beyond passing the exam. And I think, you know, eventually you should be fine. And you come and give us positive testimony later. So I don't know if there's anything I left out, you know, but maybe when you guys ask questions, maybe I'll have 1 or 2 other things to mention. So over to you, Ariel.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that extensive one. That was extensive. That was really, really extensive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure the
time, so
I'm sure the candidates are going to, I mean, they will start mentioning, I mean, somebody says, to be honest, you cleared up all my questions in one swoop. Yeah, I mean, I expected that. I'm sure a lot of comments will start pouring in now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's amazing. That's deep. I mean, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot from understanding the format and knowing that it's not like level 1, and so you must realize that there are fewer questions than you have in level 1, which actually is some form of disadvantage in the sense that there are more weights assigned to each question, knowing fully well that each question as well carries the same mark, and so don't wait bordering on a question you are struggling with on a difficult question, starting from where it's from places from your areas of strength, picking up case studies of your areas of strength if there's anything like that, and working your way up to how hands-on experience will help you, to how double checking your strategy via using the curriculum for revalidation, to time management, to how not having prior understanding before picking up summary notes like Trezor and Wiley would not help you in any way, to how you can maximize time in Lagos traffic or in whatever city you are in, to how the use of your calculator would help you, and again, ultimately, having a grand vision of being a well-rounded, knowledgeable professional. I mean, that's some of the ones I could quickly capture, you know, in my notes here. I'm sure your notes are full as well, and I'll just ask the audience that you should type in the chat box something you remembered from what Prof said. It would be good to to be sure that you are listening and that this is very helpful. Thank you very much, Prof. Level 2 is a different ball game. Level 2 is a different ball game, and you will need help. And I will be talking a bit more about how you could get this help. But in the meantime, I'm sure Anna has been warming up the Prof. Prof has scattered the whole place. So I'm sure Anna is ready to scatter our own table as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. So Anna, let's have you.
Well, I don't even know what to say anymore because
I know that, right?
Prof has said everything.
Prof is your teacher now, so.
Exactly. So he has actually said everything. But they asked me my own optimal strategy from my own perspective is that so you start from the highly weighted course, or you do the sandwich method. That's what I did. So I know FRA, fixed income, and then equities were highly weighted, especially if equities was a lot. Equities had also a lot of questions in the EFC at the back and the lessons at the back. So on the back of that, I worked on equities first. It's easy to also read equities. Equities is easy to understand to an extent. So before I started classes, I tried to read equities on my own. I did a bit of FRA too on my own because I studied accounting. But fixed income was so difficult for me, especially the first course, I think interest rate something. And so I deferred that one to when I started class. And so for me, I would say is start from the highly weighted course. You can do one highly weighted course, and then the next course can be a simpler one like corporate finance. And so that it eases you in, or you can decide to go for all the highly weighted ones first and then do the easier ones later. But the core strategy still remains that you have to understand everything. Like Prof said, you can't pick courses. I remember in level 1, I had an issue with currency, and in level 2, and I think in level 1, I was skipping all the currency question. I guessed that currency questions will not come out a lot, or currency questions will not make me fail. But in level 2, currency was like the bulk of economics in level 2. So I had to face the monster I was running away from in level 1. So it means that you have to actually really understand. In any strategy you do, you have to really, really understand, read, go to curriculum, solve the practice questions. Don't exclude anything, because even in the exam day, on the exam day, you can see a question that I don't think this question will come out because you feel that it's too cheap. And then on the exam day, you just see something that looks like the question you skipped, and you're trying so hard to remember, but I saw this question, and you're trying so hard to remember, but you can't remember. So level 2 does not level 2 is just everything. You have to read everything, even the ones that you think the likelihood of this coming out will be low. You can still see the exam, and like Prof said, the margin of error is low. We have just 88 questions now, so you have to be on top of your game. 88 questions, it means that if you feel like 2, 3, your chances of getting above 70% for each course is very, very small. So you have to make sure that you are aiming for 75%. You are aiming to fail just at most 2 questions in every topic. So on the back of that, is a lot, and so you have to really, really take your time, understand, study past questions, study questions at the back. Don't skip anyone. If you don't understand, you have to come back to it. You have to do the work. You have to put in the work, and that's just it for level 2. You really have to put in the work.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much. Sounds like, I would have been surprised if it sounded any different from what Prof had mentioned. And to be honest, it's the truth. I think at the end of the day, going into the program with a bigger vision of becoming a well-rounded, highly knowledgeable, professional would do you more good, to be honest, because I keep hearing understanding. That's immersing yourself into it to really get the details, right? And I think we've taken a lot of time on the most important question, and then I think this one is highly important as well, because it now shows us how this understanding comes. So like Prof had already mentioned it, coming to class would help, but then I would like to ask, and this one will go first to Anna, then to Prof, is would you say there is any value in attending classes to prepare for the CFA exams and for CFA Level 2 exams rather? And if you think so, I mean, would you share with us? So Hannah, what was your experience? Do you think it was helpful?
Sure, classes were helpful to me, and maybe because of my kind of person, I just prefer I prefer someone to explain whatever it is, and then I get it, and then I start reading on my own, because I don't want to spend so much time. When you don't attend classes or there are no videos for you to watch, you spend a lot of time trying to understand those concepts, and then time management is very important. You don't have the whole world to spend on a particular course. So I think for me, classes were helpful because I go to class, this particular course is being taught, currency is being taught. Okay, so I get the basic concepts, and then I go back to start reading, and then I don't have to read the curriculum anymore. I just use Schweizer, and then with Schweizer, after using Schweizer, and then I can just answer the questions, the EOC questions, and then the blue box questions in the curriculum. So for me, classes were really helpful, and compared to using like IFT videos and MM videos, at least in class, you can ask questions on those courses that you don't understand, on those particular things that you have issues with. And so the lecturer clarifies them for you, and then you move on to. So classes just makes it more easier for me compared to trying to watch different videos, watch this particular YouTube video, you don't understand, you go back, you watch another one, you don't understand. So for me, classes were helpful. It was helpful having someone just break it down to you in ways that you can easily relate it. Apart from exam, yes, you are there to pass your exam, but then as an investment professional, so the classes will enlighten your brain. You will have more knowledge. They will make it more practical for you compared to it just being theoretical. So to me, that was the benefit of classes.
Thank
Those are the
you.
benefits from it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna. And before Prof comes up, I know Prof, you've talked about how highly invaluable it is to come to classes. But then I'm going to put a twist to your question, because you are also you're a faculty member and you're a co-founder at New Frontiers Learning Center. As a matter of fact, you've been doing this for several years. New Frontiers has been doing this for about 12 years. And since inception, we've been able to, about 3,000 professionals have gone through New Frontiers Learning Center. So I think the question for you will be much broader, and it's that, can you describe the role that New Frontiers really play in the life of the candidates you teach, particularly as regards level 2? Right. I mean, it's not 1 year for you. It's been in and out, for all these years. Are you able to speak to this impact?
As a teacher, I can only, play back in my head the feedbacks we get from candidates year after year. And so you even see people that immediately after the exam, from wherever they've gone to write the exam, Ghana, South Africa, they'll just send you a message. Prof, this is, man, life was easy for the exam, all of it. They start telling you all those things, So over the years, generally, if you ask all the faculty members, so after exam, you see candidates sending them messages. Some will tell you that before that's immediately after the exam that they've passed. this is so they're always very excited that what we taught them, they were able to to get around the exam easily, And sometimes we say, when they discuss some difficult things after the exam, so when they see some people talking together as a group, say, we went to New Frontier, others are saying, hey, so is that why it looks like you guys have some working formula? So the feedbacks from the student over the years have been very, very positive, And when you say impact of what we do on the student, is beyond exam, like I said. So I assume that everyone who has come to write CFA program, is looking at building, career in finance. So it's not just about passing the exam. So there is an ecosystem in place. Like, for example, you have a relationship with other students in your class, those of you that write CFA, at the same time. So there is that network. And there is the part that is relationship between the candidates and the faculty members. So up to today, outside those people that are passing, they will just, even people that are second, they will call you discussing problems that are not exam related, but finance related. So they just want to borrow your knowledge and all of say, okay, they will tell you, okay, this is what they do. So they want to hear your ideas. So it's a lifelong relationship that is being built, when you come to school. It's not just it's not just about the exam. So you have to think beyond the exam. So build your own network with your fellow candidates, then with the faculty member. So there are people that bring their work-related issues, they want people to solve for their work. They want to hear our opinion as, experienced individuals. Just, okay, this, da. So this is what we think. And so the impact is not just about exam. Relationship goes beyond the exam. And even there are cases of faculty members hiring candidates in their respective companies, for jobs and all of that. So are we actively helping people, particularly those that do not have relevant experience, but they've acquired the charter, they need the experience. They've passed the exam, they need the experience to get the charter. So we try and help them get placement, in financial institutions, where they can gain relevant experience. So it's certainly beyond exam. And I can tell you, candidates, charter holders, the relationship gets stronger over the years. And today, like you said, over 3,000 candidates have passed for assistant. I didn't even realize that we have a number, somewhere. But what I can tell you is that there is hardly any financial institution that you go to today that you've not seen at least one person who has gone through New Frontiers Learning Center. And the way it works is that all of them, they know you, but you don't know all of them. Even sometimes, if I see happen last weekend, I was in the hospital, I was sitting in the hospital. In that same hospital, 2 different people came to meet me, say they were my students, and I was even wearing face mask. So how do you even recognize me? I didn't understand. One of them has not met me before. He's only on this online teaching and all of that. So I say, then we start talking, okay, where do you work? Where that? That's hospital, not even, So now if you walk into a stockbroking firm, an investment bank, a bank, an asset management firm, a PFA, everyone just looking at, everybody knows, but I don't know everybody. So we are always happy when we see that the people that have passed through the system, they are doing very well, and that's what makes you happy as a teacher, because there is no, like they say, the reward of teacher is in heaven, because there's no amount of that can compensate a teacher, really, in real sense. So what you do is beyond, because you never know how someone's going to use the knowledge that you've imparted to
Mhm.
change his own world, So that's what makes us strong. And that's why we continue to do this, because we believe that we're impacting people's lives positively. So I will tell you the feedback has been great. So that tells us we are doing a good job.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you very much, Anna. I'm excited that we've been able to do this tonight. I mean, the time is already fast spent, but then just two more things and we should be done tonight. At this point, I'd like our audience to start dropping in any additional questions that you have. In the meantime, I will just run us through something quickly for the CFA and U for level 2, just to give us a good one tonight. I hope you can see my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, please? Hello?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so quickly, we've gone past this tonight, so let's just do this quickly so that I can take you through this. Okay, so just to talk about the CFA and U, I'd like to start from this quickly, then we'll take questions and that will be it tonight. This is Oluwapelumi Fadola, who one of our reviews on LinkedIn. I received my CFA charter today, having passed the 3 levels of the CFA program at first attempt and met the requirements of the CFA Institute. It was quite a journey, and I'm really grateful for this milestone. Many thanks to the tutors at New Frontiers Learning Center for the knowledge shared. So the CFA program, as you may know, is the #1 finance designation in finance and investments globally. It's administered by the CFA Institute. We have about 200,000 charter holders globally, and it's growing. There's a growing number currently based in Nigeria, including the Nigerian annex in Canada. You understand what I mean? And in the charter requires passing 3 levels of the exams and 36 months of qualifying work experience. And of course, the CFA program is being organized into 3 levels with a very robust candidate body of knowledge that is tested in an almost 5-hour exam, depending on the level, right? Of course, the exam formats in level 2 particularly is vignette supported multiple choice questions, but now is case studies, vignette supported. And of course, the topic areas like you would know, from ethics to financial statements analysis, QM, portfolio management, equity, fixed income, corporate issuers, derivatives, economics, and alternative investments. In 2022, the exams are happen in February, August, and November. Right now, we are getting ready. The August classes will start on April 2nd, from April 2nd to July for the August classes, and then the July classes will kick, the November exam classes will kick off in July. So that's level 2. So level 2 exams this year, February, August, and November. August classes start on April 2nd, which is next week, Saturday, physical class and an online class. And of course, November classes, of course, will start in July as well. So the level 2 program, yeah, for just a lot has been said about this, but just to show you this again, it's the question format, vignette supported multiple choice, 88 questions, it's now 88 questions. So even the weights, the question per weight is more. I think it's stiffer now, few more questions, but the weights are more. So, I mean, Prof was even talking about based on 60, but now it's actually based on 44. So, and of course, when the denominator is smaller, then the weights are even more. Right.
And note that the time has reduced too.
Aha, absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. So it's 4 hours, 20, yeah, to technically 4.5 hours, for both sessions. So, okay, so here are the weights. Ethics 10 to 15, FSA 10 to 15, equity 10 to 15, fixed income 10 to 15, portfolio management 10 to 15. Then the rest 5 to 10, 5 to 10, 5 to 10, 5 to 10. Again, I'm rushing through, but you can always get this information. So for New Frontiers, ours is a story born out of a compelling desire There's only just one desire in the hearts of our founders when they started New Frontiers, and it's to help ease the journey of every CFA exam candidate in Nigeria. Our founders went through this journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate, and that's the dream of earning this prestigious charter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance or non-finance alike. We have members on our people on our faculty whose background were medicine, or whose background was medicine, for example, right? So some law, students who had read law, right, and all that. So it's the dream that the founders had. They got no support, but then they made up their mind. We will do all we can to help anybody become a CFA candidate in this city, in this country, and now all over the world, both through our physical program and of course through the LMS. We have through the learning management system, that's the online learning management system, where you can attend the classes, watch the recordings and all that. We have students from all over the world now, joining in school. So today, after an entire decade of pursuing this vision, our market has experienced significant leaps through the influx of about 3,000 professionals. That's an error there. 3,000 professionals from New Frontiers, and they are now revolutionaries in various markets of the world. Prof was talking about working into any financial services firm in Nigeria, and they knowing you. That's true, but trust me, I'm sure that in other markets of the world, you get to certain places, as long as there will be people in other markets of the world who will get to know you. Prof, if you walk into any of these countries, depending on where you are. So our call today is that you join the revolutionaries, the thousands of candidates and professionals to grow your career. Again, achievement is one thing, like one of my friends said, but relationship is better. Achievement is good, but relationship is better. So the networks that you build with faculty, that you build with other candidates, help a whole lot, go a long way beyond just passing the CFA exam. You're building your career. Just a cross-section of our founders. Ayokunle Ojo, CFA, Michael Anyima, CFA, Banji Fentola, CFA, and of course, Prof himself, Olani Ogunbayo, CFA. Here are our co-founders. These are the people who have made the sacrifice over the years and put aside the fact that they have succeeded in their own right, passed their own exams, and are doing well for themselves in their own careers, but then trying to pull up as many people as they can. All right then, why New Frontiers? World-class faculty of leading investment professionals. You won't find, it's difficult to find that number of intelligent people in the same place at the same time. It's quite difficult to do that. And so that's one of the biggest things we have at New Frontiers, a world-class faculty of leading investment professionals. Our testimonials attest to this. It's been over 10 years, like I said, 12 years of experience and leadership in this space. We have scholarships, discounts, and special offers. As a matter of fact, in recent years, because of the economy, we've had to offer more scholarships, more discounts, more special offers than ever in the history of the school. I mean, in the last 2 years. There are class assignments, monthly tests, exams to reinforce the concepts and revalidate your learning. There is a no pass, no pay package. And of course, candidate support is something that we are big at. You see, because people know who we are at New Frontiers. Sometimes before a job offer goes out there to the public space, they reach out to us, right? And people have found jobs being at New Frontiers. People are in their career, being at New Frontiers. And there's a whole lot, this is just some of the things that make New Frontiers different from the others. So here is Busola JJ. As a matter of fact, while we're on this call tonight, I sent a congratulatory message to her because I got a notification on LinkedIn that she just changed her role as portfolio manager at one of the fintechs tonight. So I didn't even know. I didn't even remember that a review was on this slide. So he says, I'm happy to announce that I passed the August CFA Level 3 exam. Yeah, I think this was in November. She passed just this November. She was at the party, Prof, if you remember. She was at the party we had for our candidates who just passed their exams. I think that happened 3 weekends ago now. So my CFA journey has been filled with tears, caffeine, sleepless nights, and panic attacks. But I'm grateful to God that I've finished all levels at one sitting. Particularly grateful for the solid knowledge, again, referring to what we've had over and over tonight. Particularly grateful for the solid knowledge learned and how it has positively shaped my career. Special shout outs to the Tutorial Center, New Frontiers Learning Center I used for all my levels and my tutors, Banji, Michael, Ayokunle, Ahmed, and of course, Prof. Olani himself in that review. There are different learning routes right now. We know that, yes, there is a school, number 20B, Amadou Tijani. I'll be sharing that very soon. There is a school, and many of you know the school already. Some do not, at Victoria Island, where you can have regular classes. These regular physical classes are a 16-weekend program that happen live with the faculty member in front of you, physical, of course, observing COVID-19 protocols. Very spacious room. And with limited seats available, right? So we are fine. We are compliant, COVID-19 compliant. So there is a regular program that happened for 16 weekends. There is a regular online class that also happened for 16 weekends, but on our learning management system, where you can access the videos. You'll be there live. You can be in class live and also access the recordings even long after your classes in preparation for your exams. There are quick review classes that will run for 4 weekends. So for example, the quick review class for folks who are writing the May exam in level 1, for example, will have their April classes right now at the moment. So there is another quick review classes for level 2. We have quick review classes in October and in April to July, in July, right? In July. So for those who want the quick review classes of 4 weekends, of course, for folks there are also the online classes recorded. So for folks who want to move at their own pace and don't necessarily want to be in a live class, there are recorded classes, and you will still have access to faculty. If you have any difficulties, you reach out to us. And of course, the quick review program recorded for those who can't sit in a live class. So there is the physical class. There is the online class. We split it so that we can give you attention. But once a new frontier, if there's anything like that, always a new frontier is how we like to say it, in the sense that you will always have access to faculty, whether you're in school or not, on a personal basis. One of the people who we celebrated at the party we had 3 weeks ago, new charter holders, he told me that one of the reasons why he passed the CFA Level 2 program within the very short period that he had to prepare was because he was constantly bugging Nii and Michael. I mean, if I mention his name, Prof will remember him, but he came to that meeting and he only saw you for the first time that night, physically. He only met you physically that time, I mean, you've been getting calls from him, asking you questions, solving problems for him. You didn't meet him until 3 weeks ago, and now he's a charter holder. He's passed his exam and he's a charter holder. Here's our calendar. This is very, very straightforward. Right now we are in, it's April, and from April to July is where you can see the yellow bar for level 2 from April to July, to cater for the August exams, April to July. Then of course, April to July again for the level 3 folks. So the school will open April 2nd for level 2 folks, your physical and your online program, right? Then again, there's another level 2 program from July to October for November candidates. So level 2, this is your program. If you have a level 1 friend, then their next program, after this one wrapping up, there's a class wrapping up right now. Their next opportunity to join school, if they don't intend to buy recordings, is to come for the July to October classes for the November exams. And of course, level 3 this year is happening just once, and that's going to be happening with this class that is starting in April. So this calendar is available. If you want it, we can always get it across to you. But the next class is starting on April 2nd and running to July for the August exams. Yeah. So this is a very interesting review. The mock exams at New Frontiers Learning Center helped a lot. The feedback was always a good tool to judge my preparation level to each phase. If you need a prep center, New Frontiers Learning Center is the place. It's unbelievable how many intelligent people you have in one place. This is Folashade Omubayo, the CFA. So if you would contact us, this is the contact on the screen. You can always reach us via our website, follow us on LinkedIn, call Obafemi or call Isiaka. They are waiting for your calls. Limited seats available for the level 2 program that is starting on April 2nd. We're looking forward to receiving you. And remember, we just want to help you pass your exams, have a head start in your career, and just be the best that you can be, right? In the meantime, it's time to take questions from the audience. If you have any questions, you could please use the raise your hand feature. That is if you haven't typed your question yet in the chat. So it's time. Let's just take questions from the audience now. Thank you very much for your patience. And that is if there are any questions anyway, because I think Prof and Anna have done very amazingly well with sharing the strategies that they did tonight. But please, if you have any questions or any comments, and if you are satisfied as well, you could just unmute or you could raise your hand, we'll unmute and then you can speak, or you just type it in the chat box. Is there any?
So has Ayomide's question been addressed?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was the one who said, to be honest, sir, you cleared all my questions in one swoop.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
same person. Yeah. Yeah, he's responded, yes. So Ayomide, I'm looking forward to receiving you at school. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Are you all satisfied? Is everyone satisfied? I need to know. I mean, if there are no questions, we can just call it an evening, and thank you very much for joining in tonight. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Thank you, Prof, for your time. Thank you so much for your time. We're excited that you created time to be able to do this, and I'm sure, I think these days, teacher's reward is in both heaven and earth. So trust me, I'm sure there are perks that comes to teachers now. So you won't miss your reward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anna, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you, Samuel. I can see I'm satisfied. Samuel, I'm satisfied. Ayomide, thank you very much, New Frontiers. It was really enlightening. Thank you so much for joining. It was good to have you. And this session was recorded. You will be able to have access to it and share. I'm sure within the next 24 hours, it will be uploaded on New Frontiers Learning Center. On YouTube, New Frontiers Learning Center, youtube.com/New Frontiers Learning Center, and follow us on LinkedIn for any other updates. Thank you very much, Anna. I hope Anna is still on the call.
Yes,
thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Obafemi. Yeah, at the back end. Obafemi, thanks so much for all the work. And Mr. Isiaka, our registrar, thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, our audience, everybody. I hope I can get everybody. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you, Emelda. Thank you, MA. Thank you, Obiageli. Thank you, Samuel. And thank you so much for joining. Please enjoy the rest of your evening, Thank you.
Or no support of any kind. However, they vow to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA Chapter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today. New Frontiers Learning is the #1 tuition center for the CFA exams in Nigeria. Our founders went through their CFA journey with little or no support of any kind. However, they vowed to turn into reality the dream of every CFA candidate earning the CFA Chapter, irrespective of their backgrounds, finance and non-finance alike. It is this commitment to support our candidates that influences our engagement of a world-class faculty, partnerships, scholarship and discount offers, our online learning management system and so much more. Our clients' outstanding results across all levels of the exams every year attest to the quality of our top-notch physical and online program in the last 10 years. That's right, we have been impacting the industry for 10 years and have supported about 2,500 professionals in that time space. Register with New Frontiers Learning today.